really terribly over the, once they've had their first cycle. So you can see here Litecoin against Ethereum, terrible. It's been underperforming Ethereum for years. Cardano, same thing, right? It has periods where it pumps, but ultimately it just ends up, dying back down here. RSR, same sort of thing, just dying. Ripple, dead for like 6 years against ETH, or more, 7 years. Decentraland, you can see here, it had one pump against ETH, and then it's just gone down only since. So it's just some classic examples of what 99% of the market looks like against Ethereum, right? And the thing is, it's like, if you're going to hold a coin outside of Bitcoin or Ethereum, you want it to make you more money because you take more risk, right? Why would you take more risk holding some shitty coin like Ripple when it doesn't offer you more upside than ETH? You'd be safer owning ETH and you'd make more money. Doesn't make sense, right? So if you're going to own a smaller coin, it's got to give you better risk-adjusted returns. It's got to, not risk-adjusted, it's got to give you a more asymmetric upside. It's got to have a return to justify the risk. And these coins just don't have it. You can see they don't. Unless you capture some brief period of outperformance, which is very, very hard to time. It's just not going to work, okay? So what are the characteristics of new coins and old coins? Because what we just described then was the journey from being new to being old. And you can see which point in time you would like to be a holder of the token. So let's go over the characteristics. So when a coin's new, there's no expectation of major development, right? People understand that things take time to build. They give you a year. They're like, I'll give you a year to build shit. With old coins, there's an expectation that they should have built shit, right? It's been 3 years. Where's the adoption that you promised us? Also, new coins, fresh, new, exciting. Old, pump and dumped, less interesting. The team, the VCs, the pre-salers, they're all locked up, so they all want to work really hard to promote the coin, to make it go up in price because they want to be able to sell at the highest price possible. When the insiders have their tokens unlocked, this is what the old coins look like. New coins, they have a stronger conviction from holders, weaker conviction for the older coins. New coins likely are going to be in the sectors that are the most popular. That tends to capture the most flows, the most attention, the most money. Older projects, tend to be in older sectors that people don't really give a fuck about anymore. So you can see Curve is a DeFi protocol. It's basically the backbone of majority of Ethereum DeFi. And no one really cares about the token because no one really cares about DeFi anymore, right? Even things like Aave, you can see, no one really gives a fuck about anymore. Now, obviously, the token's going up, but it's up 2x from the bottom, right? How much is Solana up from the bottom, right? $10 to 100, it's up 10x. How much is TIA up in the past month, right? $2, 4x, 5x. So yeah, you can hold Aave and make it 2x, but you could have held something for 10 times less and made 4 times more, 3 times more. So that just shows you a bit of perspective there. No bag holders, everyone's in profit or near to it. So yeah, when a coin launches, right? Excuse me, losing my voice. When a token launches, maybe it does this, maybe it goes down a little bit like this, like C. Maybe that's a 30% retracement. But, people aren't in a big loss. They're like, okay, I'm okay with losing 30%, right? And then the token goes up, and then it's in new all-time highs. This is where the fun begins, in price discovery. With an older coin, right, it's been through this whole cycle of down here, and, there's bag holders who want to sell at all of these levels, right? So when it finally goes up, it's got to get past all these sell walls of people who just want to sell and get out at break even because they don't believe in it anymore. But a new coin, like C, for example, everyone's in profit, right? And when things are in profit for everyone, people tend to hold with a different mentality than when something is in a loss for everyone, okay? So you can see here, the old coins, most holders are in a big fat loss, ready to exit at break even. So the ultimate conclusion is that new coins have more demand and less supply, and old coins have less demand and more supply, right? So that is the basic conclusion to summarize why you want to buy newer projects and why you want to generally avoid older projects. Now, saying that, there is nuance, and this is the nuance. You want to own 2 types of coins in crypto, okay? You either want to own new coins like we just talked about, or multi-cycle outperformers. let me explain what a multi-cycle outperformer is. So firstly, a new coin, how do you define new? Well, it means that it hasn't had a bull cycle. So C is a classic example, right? Hasn't had a bull cycle. It's, you can see that it launched here. It's just been going down, hasn't had a bull market. Also, the token is under 12 months old. So generally, if it's older than a year, that's not a good sign. So if you look at C, it came out in, what's this, August? It's December. That's like 5-6 months, okay? That's perfect. Another one would be Toshi. Toshi, okay, it doesn't show the full chart history on this platform, but this one is not older than a year, okay? This one might be, I think it's like 6 months old as well. So that's another example, okay? Now, multi-cycle outperformers is any coin which has or likely to hit a new all-time high in a separate bull market, right? Or outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum. So a multi-cycle outperformer is a coin which continues to perform well bull market after bull market, okay? So let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate multi-cycle outperformer. It's been around since 2009, 2000. What year was it invented? A long time ago, but we only have chart history to 2011. So, since 2011, it has been going to new all-time highs on this chart every single cycle. Now, Ethereum is another multi-cycle outperformer. You can see here that ever since it came out back in 2016, new all-time highs. That was the last bull run. This is the this was the first bull run, second bull run, and the third one we're looking good. We could go to new all-time highs here. Now, is there any other coins in crypto which are multi-cycle outperformers? I'm aware of two. So let's go over the two that I'm aware of. So Binance Coin is a classic example. You can see that this was back in 2018. So we okay, this isn't necessarily a multi-cycle outperformer because this didn't exist for much of the last bull run. But look, this was the 2017 bull run, okay? It launched at the end, but it still counts, okay? So in the 2017 bull run, it had a high here, and then in the 2021 bull run, it hit new all-time highs, okay? So I'm going to call that a multi-cycle outperformer. Now, is there any others? Well, I can't think of any besides maybe Solana. So Solana is my pick for another coin which could be a multi-cycle outperformer, and I'm going to explain in this video why I think that is. But if we look at Solana versus Ethereum, you can see that it almost hit all-time highs, okay? So one of the main ways to determine a coin as a multi-cycle outperformer is it's hitting new highs against Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. So if we look at Sol versus Bitcoin, it's probably a bit lower. It's a bit lower. But you can see that how many coins in the market are about to hit new all-time highs against Ethereum, or getting close to new all-time highs against Bitcoin. There's very, very few. I can't think of any. I literally can't think of any. Just Solana. Okay, and it's funny that Solana is getting close to hitting new all-time highs against Ethereum, because I have been saying for 6-12 months now that I think that the only coins that you should hold from the last bull run are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. It's always been the ones that I've said that you can hold from the last bull run. And if you're not going to hold those, you should be holding something that's new. Now, the reason that I said that you should be holding Solana, even though it hasn't proven that it's a multi-cycle outperformer, but it's showing that it might, is down to a mentality of the holder base of the project. And I actually tweeted about this a while ago, and I did it in a thread here. Okay, so let me zoom in here and make it easier for you. So in crypto, there's two holder mentalities, right? There's two mental frameworks that people operate under when they own a coin. So for 99% of coins, their mentality is, let me show you, that I own this to get more of something else. So they buy, for example, Arbitrum so that they can get more Bitcoin. They buy, let's say, KuCoin to try to get more ETH, right? They own a coin just so that they can stack more of something else. But those coins that they buy just to get more of something else, they tend to die. They tend to become the old coins. And the only way that an older coin can remain new and fresh and exciting and performing well is if people view it as something that they want to get more of by buying other coins. And that's a different holder mentality, right? So there's two holder mentalities, right? You buy Ripple to get more Bitcoin, or you're a Bitcoin holder and you're using these other coins to get more Bitcoin. So it's the same thing, but there's two sides of the coin, right? This coin is used to get more of something else, and this coin you want to get more of by buying something else. So these are short-term holds